Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video, for yet another news roundup video. I know what you're thinking, guys, it's the international break. How is there so much Barcelona news? But I have got some for you today, some transfers again. We're going to be speaking about that in some more detail today. Links to Adrien Rabiot, and also we're going to be speaking about a link to Frankie de Jong, the young Ajax midfielder. Very, very interesting story there coming out of the Spanish media. We're also going to move on and speak about Xavi Hernandez in a potential coaching role in the near future. We're also going to be discussing the Camp Nou attendance in recent times, and at the very end of this video, I'm not going to promise anything, but we might just break in to a very moderate rant on Marco Verratti, so keep a lookout for that. But let's get on with the news roundup. So we're going to start here with the news about Adrien Rabiot, which broke this morning from Mundo Deportivo, and there was a big cover from MD this morning coming out with Adrien Rabiot on it. And following yesterday, of course, they spoke about De Ligt, they spoke about our links to the Ajax defender. Today, they've taken the big stance of Adrien Rabiot being the talking point and potentially could be on his way to Barcelona come the summer transfer window. Potentially, according to MD, Barca are showing an interest in the 22-year-old midfielder, and apparently MD actually say that we were tracking them right throughout last season as well, and in the summer, last summer that is, we were interested in signing Rabiot, but after the whole Neymar saga took place, there was no place for any such negotiations. And after another solid season in France, probably his most notable moment this season coming, of course, in that last 16 first leg against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, when he did open the scoring on the night, but that tie, of course, ended pretty badly for PSG, as we're going to come on to again when we speak later on about Marco Verratti and his comments. But usually, I would say in this sort of instance, no chance. There's no way at all that PSG are going to deal with us, especially a player that they want to keep in Rabiot. They think he's a good talent, they think he's a good prospect. They don't really want to sell Adrien Rabiot, and especially not to us. So in usual circumstances, I would say here there's no chance of us getting any PSG player they want to hold on to. But the one twist to this one would be that Adrien Rabiot's contract expires in the summer of 2019. So come the summer transfer window, he will only have 1 year left on his current deal, and potentially come the summer transfer window, PSG might want to look to sell, get some money in on him. They don't want to let him go for free at the end of his deal. If they can't agree a renewal with him, they could be looking to let him go. But whether that'll be to us, we'll have to wait and see. I know there's a lot of other clubs interested in Rabiot as well. Whether he would suit our style of play perfectly, I don't really know. He's a bit of a confusing player for me. Sometimes he looks fantastic, sometimes he looks like he's a really emerging talent, and then other times as well he looks quite ordinary. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. What do you think about Rabiot? What do you think about these links? How many midfield players are we looking at right now? And on that exact topic, that moves me on to my next talking point, Frankie de Jong. And this is another man that Mundo Deportivo spoke about this morning. He was also on that same cover that they spoke about Rabiot. Again, MD going absolutely mental when it comes to signings right now. If it's anything to do with them, we're going to end up signing an entire team come the summer transfer window. But they did speak today about Frankie de Jong playing at the moment, of course, for Ajax in Holland. And you can see from the cover there, MD reporting that Barca are interested in signing this young midfielder, potentially in the coming summer transfer window. And it's certainly a rumour that I think has really captivated a lot of us. Those who've seen Frankie de Jong can be very, very impressed with what they've seen. There's a lot of interest, of course, in whether he's going to make a move to Barcelona, make a move to one of the big European clubs, because he really is a young, emerging talent. And certainly from my point of view, looking at him, looking at the characteristics that he brings, looking at the type of player that he is somebody who at 20 years old still is a really, really big prospect, and for me, would suit the Barcelona style of play perfectly. He's 20 years old, like I say, currently playing for Ajax, and he's a really, for me, versatile midfield player. And by that, I don't really mean that somebody who's quite average, you know, he can play all different kind of positions, a kind of jack of all trades. It's nothing like that. He's versatile for me in the way that he can sit deep, he can control midfield, he's very comfortable on the ball, he's happy to move it, he's happy to, you know, link up the play and also go forward as well. You know, a bit more creative, a bit more attacking midfield, and I think he's a really good player right throughout that midfield, really. He has a lot of good characteristics, and I think he's somebody, like I say, who would fit at Barcelona. He's very comfortable in the deep lying position, maybe, just dropping in between midfield and defence, getting the ball off the centre-backs. He always looks really, really calm and at ease on the ball, which is everything you command from a Barcelona player. He moves well, he's got good awareness around him, he's got good positioning, and like I say, at the base of that midfield, controlling things when he can see the full picture ahead of him, in that kind of Busquets role, if you like, you could see him slotting in very, very nicely in potentially the years to come, as he's developing as a player, as he's maturing, as he's understanding the game, which is vital for that role. He could be very, very good indeed. But obviously, it's very early days, guys. The first rumour that we've seen really linking Barca to De Jong, although a lot of people wanted to see De Jong at Barca for quite a few years now, as De Jong has been coming through the Ajax setup. But we'll have to wait and see what happens and whether anything comes of these kind of links. But it is at least encouraging to see us being linked and tracking at least these kind of profiles. And now I do want to talk about Xavi Hernandez. Like I say, there is a view with Xavi. We spoke about him yesterday. We spoke about Iniesta leaving to go to Qatar. He's been at Al Sadd now for a few years. And to be fair to him, he hasn't just gone there to pick up the money. He's not just gone there to get away from, really high-pressured games. He has gone there and fully applied himself. He's been very professional. And he has been very good for Al Sadd when he's been on the pitch. But apparently this year will be Xavi's last year as a player. And then apparently he will go into coaching. Now, I've touched on this in previous videos. That has always been Xavi's aim. He went to Al Sadd. He's been playing on the pitch, of course he has. But behind the scenes, he's been doing a lot of coaching work. He's been working with their underage teams. And he's all making these steps up to get into coaching, get into first team management. And he wants to, further down the line, coach Barcelona. He wants to really do it. It's his dream to become the Barcelona coach. And according to sources in Spain, Xavi has his eye on that role by 2022. He wants to gain experience beforehand. He maybe wants to manage Barcelona B. There's contrasting reports on whether he wants to go down that route. But apparently, before that time, he could end up coaching Al Sadd's first team. There's also rumours that he could even coach Qatar at their home World Cup in 2022. And by then, after that potentially, he wants to step into management and come to Barcelona to lead us and be our coach. And that for me, looking at the intelligence of Xavi, looking at the way he is, the personality that he has, all he gave to the club as a player, as a leader in that dressing room, he would be an unbelievable coach in my opinion. The way that he sees the game is everything that Barcelona should be. So those rumours, for me, fill me with a lot of excitement. And I just hope now Xavi can gain some experience, hopefully cut his teeth in management, and years down the line, could we be seeing this man in the Barcelona dugout? Now, just before we do move on to that subject of Marco Verratti and what I want to say in regard to that, I do want to speak briefly about Barcelona's attendance at the Camp Nou. I think that's really, really important because a few weeks ago, a few months ago really, at the start of 2018, I was really concerned about the crowds we were getting at the Camp Nou for home games because it really was bad. There wasn't enough people turning up. There wasn't enough consistent crowds there, getting behind the team, making the Camp Nou a fortress, which it really should be. It's an iconic stadium. It's an unbelievable stadium when there's a lot of people in there, and it can really generate some fantastic atmosphere. But when it's half full, it can become a really difficult place to play your football for the home team, and that's not how it should be. But I just want to tell you about our previous 4 games at the Camp Nou and what the brilliant attendance have looked like. The weather's been good. There's been no political problems of late. Of course, there's still things going on behind the scenes. Of course there are. But on the front of things, it's got better. It's got better in Barcelona. And right now, Barca Girona, 85,000 people were there for that game. Barca Atletico at home, that was 90,000 of the capacity crowd there. 9 away really from being absolutely full. Against Chelsea in the Champions League, 97,000 people turned up to see that one. And even against Athletic, our last league game at home, 84,000 people turned up to watch that game. And that's brilliant. That's what you want to be seeing. That's the kind of crowds the Camp Nou should be generating. And that's what we want back in our team every single home game to make it a fortress. And so finally, guys, we are going to speak about Marco Verratti. Now, this is something that I actually wanted to talk about now for quite a few days.
I prefer not to speak, really. I prefer not to speak. I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
This is the video really I've only really got round to talking about it, and he's basically been coming out in the media and running his mouth. That's exactly what he has been doing. First of all, he came out to address the rumours, and by the way, about a season ago, in the last summer of course, I really wanted to sign Marco Verratti. I think he's a perfect profile for our midfield, and when we went after him in the summer, I wanted us to get him. But when it didn't happen, when he signed a new deal, when he sat down with PSG, when he said sorry, when he said he wanted to stay there, he was committed to their project, that is when I said, know what, cut our ties, Verratti to Barcelona is done. Don't go back in for him again. We tried, Neymar went the other way, it all went sour for us. Verratti stayed there, he apologised to their fans, let him stay there in PSG and see what he can achieve there. I didn't want Verratti a single second more, and I certainly don't want him now. He's come out this week and basically said the rumours about me joining Barcelona are completely false. He's not leaving PSG, so we should leave that exactly where it is. But it was his next comment which really did stir me, and I think this is absolutely ridiculous coming from Marco Verratti. Basically, he got sent off in the Champions League. I'm sure you all saw it against Real Madrid. He got 2 yellow cards, the first for a foul, and the second one basically was for dissent, talking back to the referee. He got a second yellow, and he was then sent off of that game. Again, to be honest, he did not play well in. And he basically came out in the media and said the following: Messi points his finger in the faces of referees all the time, and does he get punished for it? No. So what he's actually done there is almost saying, you know, Messi gets away with it, so why didn't I? You know, Messi doesn't get punished, why didn't you go and punish Messi? And this, for me, is the massive problem, not only with Verratti, but with all or most PSG players. They have got a huge mentality problem, because it's never their fault. It's never their own responsibility. He's looking there to blame somebody else. They got knocked out against Real Madrid when they had a colossal chance of moving on to the next round, of really going deep in that competition if they knocked out Real Madrid, a team which has been 3rd, 4th in La Liga all season long, and PSG failed to turn up. Marco Verratti got himself sent off, he played poorly, he didn't impact the game, and after the game he wants to go and blame Messi. Messi doesn't get sent off, so let's talk about that. How about you talk about your own performance? How about you talk about your own team, which has not developed in the right way? They've spent an enormous amount of money and they've still gone nowhere. They have a huge problem there because they cannot take responsibility for their own actions until they start to look at themselves and look to improve themselves instead of looking at everybody else and moaning and complaining and making excuses. PSG are not going to develop, and Marco Verratti himself is not going to develop either, because he's been in France now for a number of years. He was a very emerging talent, he was a world-class midfield player, but I still don't feel like he's developed. He hasn't really gone anywhere in the past few years. He's stayed at the same level because he's not challenging himself. He's not challenging himself in one of the elite leagues in Europe, and that for me is a huge problem for him as a person. But is he going to leave PSG? Absolutely not, because he's tied there now, as many players are, as Neymar probably will be. Any player who wants to leave PSG and they don't want them to, they have got a massive issue on their hands, because PSG, unless they receive astronomical offers, they're not going to let them go. And even if they do, they'll probably deny them, because PSG have got all the money in the world, but they've got the wrong mentality. And until they sort that out, they're in big trouble.
In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
So that was basically all I have to say today, guys, on the news. I thought I'd just leave you with a little rant on Verratti there, because that's something that has got to me really over the last few days. But I do want to leave you with something more positive. Here is a photo of Andres Iniesta, Thiago Alcantara and Jordi Alba on the plane with the Spanish national team. And isn't that nice to see? Wouldn't you love to see, even though he's a bit injury prone, Thiago Alcantara back in our team? You can see him there smiling in the middle of Iniesta and Jordi Alba, exactly where he should be. So I just thought I'd leave you there with a bit more of a positive note, guys. Keep on smiling through this international break. Thank you as always for joining me here on the News Roundup, guys. I'll be back very soon indeed with more videos, and when the internationals happen I will be doing something following those games as well to keep you updated. So thank you as always, guys. I will see you soon, but until then, as always, Vasca El Barça.